Welcome back to stream, everybody. Recording, same stuff. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it last week, but we're here. Man, what a wild week of football.
Wild.
Week 18 officially wrapped up. Season's officially over. At least the regular season. Playoffs are finally set.
It's playoff time, baby.
Well, first and foremost, my Seahawks got eliminated.
Okay. Whoa.
No. I'm gonna edit in post, but you know the LeBron thing?
Yeah.
You ever seen the LeBron clip where he
Okay. Yeah. You were that high, Keaton?
I was.
That hyped?
I really was. I am. You know why? Because listen. I love my Hawks.
It's kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
It sounds nuts, but I love my Hawks more than most people. And I was so ready to just not have to worry about this team in the playoffs. I couldn't physically. Every game took like another year off my lifespan.
That's fair.
Right now, in Seahawk football years, I'm 67 years old.
You're Pete Carroll's age.
I'm wearing a diaper, for Christ's sake.
You're out of the organization now.
Yeah. I'm wearing a diaper. I'm hitting on young people at restaurants while going solo. I'm old. I'm old right now. No, but Pete Carroll finally gets fired.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, Keaton, how do we feel about that, man?
I feel
Live
good.
reaction. Not really, but this is the first time we've talked about it. So,
have you guys ever seen the clip, the Antonio Brown "They Freed Me" clip?
Yes.
Where he checks his text. For those who don't know, there's a clip of Antonio Brown, former receiver, where he gets a text that he's been traded from, or he's been released from the Raiders, and he celebrates. That's how I felt. Where I literally, my ex-roommate texts me, and he's like, "Yo, Pete's gone," and I go, "Wait, clickety clack at work," and I'm like, "Oh, it's over." Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah. On one hand, I'm like,
it's got to be a little bit, right?
Yeah, I'm thankful for what Pete did. Obviously, he brought like so much, to the organization, and he is the greatest coach in Seahawks history. It's like you're losing your, the Bill Belichick's of your organization, or the Jimmy Johnsons of the organizations, the stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it needed to happen. And there were so many times where watching this team, like specifically on defense, I would watch like Tariq Woolen or Devin Bush or any of those players, and they just like weren't giving that effort. And you'd see Pete Carroll like trying to rally him on the sidelines, and they're not listening. And I could tell, one, Pete Carroll lost the locker room. That was my first big indication. And then two, there wasn't any changes made. We finished actually lower than last year in run defense. We finished 1 or 2 ticks higher in passing defense, but we still finished like the 30th ranked defense. And since 2017, we've had a 25 or worse defense by PFF. So for a defensive-minded guy who only hires from internally, it was time for him to go. Right. So hopefully he's gone. Clint Hurt probably leaves. My hope is we get Dan Campbell or Jim Harbaugh. Or not Dan Campbell, Dan Quinn.
What about Mike Vrabel or Vrabel?
Vrabel? Hell no. I hate Mike Vrabel. Couldn't stand him as a coach.
Why do you hate Mike Vrabel?
Dude, he's not a good coach.
Okay.
You know why? No. Listen.
Okay.
Listen. Mike Vrabel is one of the few guys in the league that only hires his friends. And you know why? You know why that pisses me off? Because if you look at what Tennessee does every year, they start off strong and then they crumble. This year they sucked all the way around, but they were supposed to be good. Mike Vrabel's won like 2 playoff games in his last like 6 years running that organization. I don't need that type of guy. I personally watch him and I'm like, yeah, he literally has New England Patriot written all over him. But he only hires his friends.
He does.
As like coaching staff. And I don't know. Personally, I'd be upset if that's who he got. I think Dan Quinn literally is the perfect candidate.
Mike Vrabel had a 54-45 regular season record, won the AFC South in 2020, 2021, and also won a head coach of the year. Now, do I think it's a good fit for the Seahawks? Maybe not, but I think he's definitely a candidate. He should be hired somewhere for damn sure. Mike Vrabel should not be a coach that's on the market. He should be hired instantly.
He's going to be a Patriot.
And then
he's the number.
That was my next question too. What do you guys think is going to happen with Harbaugh?
Dude,
I think he definitely goes to the NFL, but I don't know what team he would go to. Who do you think?
Does he go to the Raiders?
I would hate that.
I don't think he wants to. No. You know who I could see him going? The Chargers.
I thought about the Chargers too. I've also heard. Actually, Ant, do you want to speak on that a little bit? Maybe you showed that. Did you show that in the Sell Down podcast?
I don't remember if I did or not.
The Star Wars memes with it.
Oh yeah, that
the
was
Emperor and Vader. Did we?
I think I mentioned that. I think I mentioned that. Yeah. So basically, how I put it was, if Bill Belichick leaves the Patriots, which also I find interesting that has not been announced yet, and there already been a lot of head coaches that have been fired or just gone, right? So I find that interesting that he's not gone yet. About that. So that is something to I'm keeping my eye out for. But it's been reported that he could potentially leave, and I said that if Bill Belichick goes to the Chargers as their head coach, Belichick would be the Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars, and Justin Herbert would literally be Nightfall Vader at that point when Anakin turns into Vader in Episode 3 before the suit when he fights.
Yeah, Obi-Wan. And I've seen some comparisons of that. It would be interesting
because people compared did that same comparison when it was Brady and Belichick. People did the same thing. I don't know. I just found that kind of funny, a little bit interesting, because I'm like, oh shit, like, what if that does happen?
Right. That could be interesting.
It'll
be interesting to see where Harbaugh goes too. I mean, I just don't know with some of these coaches. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like some of them are outdated almost. Like, Harbaugh's tried it a couple of times. He's gotten there, hasn't won. Mike Vrabel has always been like a pretty decent coach, and I think he can be a good coach in a good system.
That's my biggest thing. I don't want, like you were talking about Seattle, and I'll let you get back to it. But my biggest thing is I don't want a good coach. I want a great coach.
Right. And I don't think that was my next statement. I don't think going from Pete to Vrabel is at all an upgrade. If anything, it's kind of like a sidestep, like you're going from one coach to another where they're both kind of like on the similar terms of coaches where they're both good,
kind of just
not
like
great,
player
kind
coaches.
of outdated. Yeah,
coaches.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting, but I want to talk about the Titans a little bit, and maybe Keaton, you don't think this way because you don't think Mike Vrabel is a great coach, but I think he's a pretty damn good coach. But in general, I want to talk about that organization because, like I mentioned before, they won their division in 2020 and 2021, and Mike Vrabel also won a head coach of the year. When was that? Maybe 2020?
I can tell you right now. Continue.
2021.
Yes.
Yeah, so he won that in 2021. And the thing with the fucking Titans that really upsets me, it's like you look at a team like that, they've had talent all over the board, right? But the thing is, again, with some of these teams, like you just can't help but like look at them and say that's just a bad franchise. The Titans, bad franchise. Bad franchise. They've gotten rid of their two best players. Derrick Henry's going to leave, and now they're getting rid of a good coach. Like, no matter what you want to say, he might not be great. He's a good coach. He won Coach of the Year. He's had a winning record. Mike Vrabel is a good coach. He will be hired almost immediately. But with that being said, I guess my thing with that is I don't know what the Titans are doing. The AFC South, I think, is wide open and continues to be wide open because there's not a team that can pull it away. We saw it this year. All the teams were super close. And that's another thing that, you have to look into the future with. And I think I don't know if Mike Vrabel would have been that coach to win it, but I think firing him puts them back even more than they could have with him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And my question to you is, do you think that's going to happen with Seattle? Do you think that's going to happen with the Redskins? Do you think that's going to happen with a team, or not the Redskins, the Commanders, because they fired their coach as well? Do you think that's going to happen with a lot of these teams that are looking to hire maybe some of these college coaches? Like, do you think this is pushing them back, or do you think it's moving forward, or do you think it's just kind of based off of systems? Because I don't think Seattle's in a point right now where they need a rebuild. Like, I definitely don't think that. I think you guys have talent, young talent everywhere. But a team like the Titans, where they're older, they might want to go in a rebuild. But again, that AFC South division's wide open. So it's just it's one of those things that's tough for a lot of these teams, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, you think about teams that need a coach, right? And you could literally list right now 10 teams.
Oh,
I mean, just on the West Coast, there's the Chargers, technically the Raiders, and the Seahawks, right?
Yep.
Then you travel. I mean, there's quite a bit of things. For Seattle's perspective, I've watched Vrabel a lot, and and there's no bias in like why I don't like him. I've just never loved Vrabel as a coach. I don't know why.
Right.
I don't know if it's Ryan Tannehill just being ass at points and them not having any ability to like control his assness, but I think in like Seattle's perspective, I feel like you're right. I don't necessarily think we need a rebuild, but I do think we need a restructuring.
Mm-hmm.
And if that involves a rebuild where, hey, next year we're like 5-10 or whatever, 5-13, 6-12, whatever the record is, I don't mind that. I really don't. I think at some point, Pete Carroll was just kind of leading us into like a path of purgatory where we weren't improving. We had 4 top 64 draft picks and we got worse.
It's kind of like Mike Tomlin, like all-time coaches, great coaches, but a 9-7 record isn't doing it in the NFL these days.
No.
Like there's better coaches.
Exactly. But you know what the difference is that Seattle is far more talented than I believe that Steelers team is.
Oh, and way more talented.
And what I notice is, and honestly, a good indicator of this is Tariq Woolen. I love Tariq. I think he's a great cornerback. He had honestly, he had a very down year.
Like an all-time bad year in tackling.
Yes. Well, he's never been a great tackler, but
he's really bad though. Like I've not seen a cornerback been that bad in tackling in years.
He never recovered from his
is
injury.
like an A-tier cornerback for coverage,
with a F-tier tackle.
Z-tier for tackling.
Yeah.
Like one of the worst tackling quarterbacks I've seen, which is funny because Devin Witherspoon
he's not good in that.
Is a dog in the opposites of that. Like I'd say he's good in coverage, but he's great against the run. Like one of the best cornerbacks against the run, which is funny. But that's what I'm saying. Like Seattle again has like a lot of talent everywhere, and I feel like they're in a weird limbo right now.
There was a real quick, and I'll wrap up on this. I personally think Dan Quinn should be our head coach. I know he's going to look for a head coaching job. He's obviously skilled enough, and people don't remember, but Dan Quinn has a Super Bowl ring, and that team was with the Seahawks when he was our defensive coordinator. The two, arguably a top 5, not arguably, a top 5 defense in NFL history. Dan Quinn was at the helm of. What does he do when he gets when he goes to Dallas? He coaches another top tier defense. I mean, that defense is really good in all aspects.
Right. But that's different.
At the end of it's two different teams. For sure. At the end of that Cardinals game, right? We almost lose that Cardinals game. Matt Prater misses 2 kind of makeable field goals, right? There's a scene where Tariq Woolen, and I'll add it in post. There's a scene where Tariq Woolen literally like walks by the kicker and just starts grabbing his nuts and just like does that like hold my nut sack basically.
Right.
Gesture right in front of him, and I'm like,
Tariq,
what are you celebrating? You just finished a 9-7 season. What did you do?
Didn't make the playoffs.
Or 9-8 season. Exactly.
Can't do that.
A 9-8 season.
And maybe you can make the argument that it's a rival, it's a divisional rival, but in a game like that where they're 4-13, what are they? 4 whatever. They're
4-13.
Cardinals are horrible.
We literally
that's a winnable game, and you're not making the playoffs. Like that doesn't make sense at all.
And at that point, they already knew that they missed the playoffs. So,
right.
To me, they don't have the championship culture that they used to have. And I don't know if Vrabel brings that culture.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I could see Vrabel going to the Commanders, to be honest. Good defense, solid offense, maybe needs a quarterback. That seems like a Vrabel system.
Needs a quarterback.
But here are the.
They're probably getting
I mean,
Caleb Williams.
That's not true though. Vrabel's done well with the Titans, and he's had Tannehill and some rookies that have not done well. You know,
but Tannehill for a time was a really good quarterback. Let's not like act like Tannehill's always been ass.
He was good.
He's made 2 Pro Bowls.
I mean, yeah, he was pretty good when he was there. But the Commanders, again, they remind me a lot of those Titans teams that won in 2020, 2021. But I looked up the 6 teams, and then we'll move on. Sorry, we kind of went on a tangent, but 6 teams that need a head coach. It's Carolina, now the Titans because they fired Vrabel. Vegas, who I really think that they should hire Antonio Pierce. It would make no sense not to. Everyone loves him there. He's done well for what he needs. Exactly.
Culture fit.
The Chargers, who, to me, I think the Chargers are the best fit for any great head coach because they have the most talent out of any of these teams. Them and Atlanta, I think, are like very close with that. And then the Commanders, obviously Atlanta, like I just said. But if I was a head coach, I would want to go to the Chargers or the Falcons. But again, I think the Chargers, the Falcons, the Commanders, and Seattle now, although they haven't technically gotten rid of him, there are rumors and it's said that he's gone. But those are the 4 teams where I look at and I'm like, okay, like these guys legit have the talent to be a playoff team with a good head coach. But it's interesting because some of these teams, like the Panthers, no. The Panthers, the Titans, the Raiders, they all need help.
No,
they need help. Like they're not.
Speaking of needing help, and Ant, I want to hear your opinion on this. What's up with the Dolphins, man? I know you're not like a diehard Dolphins fan, nor really are you a fan. It's the same division though, so I imagine you catch a few games. Dude, they lost that division after starting out as hot as they did. We at one point, did we not have them number 2 or number 3 in our
No, they were number 1 because you guys thought they were better than the freaking Niners. And I was like, okay, fellas, come on now. But yeah, they were number 1 at one point.
You said before we got on, you said you called that Tua interception. I want to hear how that happened and what you took from that game. I personally did not watch much football this week. I've been slammed with a lot of things, so be my eyes and ears and tell me what you saw.
So what I saw throughout that game was, I mean, it was Tua versus Josh Allen, right? Both quarterbacks they love to throw interceptions. They do. But realistically at that point, then it all just comes down to like who can clutch up a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think overall Josh Allen can clutch up a lot more than Tua. But player-wise on their team, their offensive weapons, if anyone will clutch up for the Dolphins, it will be Tyreek Hill. I think that's been proven throughout this entire season. I think it's been proven in past seasons, even when he was on the Chiefs. I think he's just a clutch player. Now, from what I saw throughout that game was both teams, they were going back and forth a lot, but at the end, Bills were dominating. They had him on the lock for sure. I think it was like a 3rd down. I think this play, the play that Keen mentioned, it was a 4th down. So it was legit the Dolphins' last play. So on 3rd down, it was like a 3rd and 10 or something like that, 3rd and 5. I don't know, whatever. They needed to get down the field though, like ASAP. So 3rd and 10, we'll say 3rd and 10, Tua throws the ball to Tyreek. Tyreek misses it. And he misses the catch. And then Tyreek's burnt out. He goes straight to the sideline. And I'm looking at Tyreek, and he's just huffing and puffing away on the sideline. I see Tua. The man looks like he's in shambles. I could just start laughing. And Zach's like, what? And I go, watch this, Zach. I was like, Tua's in shambles right now. Tyreek Hill is on the sideline. This is the game-winning, like not game-winning, but they need this. Like, it's a lot of pressure right now on Tua, and Tyreek's on the field. Waddle is injured. He's got, I can't think of anyone else who he could throw to on that team. And then I go, watch Zach. I was like, Tua right here. He's going to panic and he's going to choke this. He's either going to get sacked right here on this 4th down or he's going to throw an interception. The man proceeds to throw an interception. And Zach just looks at me and he's like, "Ant, you just called that." I'm all like, I can't believe I just called that. Like, I can't believe I just did. Like, it was funny. It was so funny. But like, I don't know. Like, it was just to me, it was just kind of obvious. Just the facial expressions, the way their energy was, and where the Bills' energy was at that point. Like, I was like, they got Tua.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him go to the sideline, and Ant starts like chuckling a little bit, and I'm like, Ant, what are you laughing about? Because I was like really into it. I'm like, oh shit, like, dang, like this is like it. 4th and 10. Like, if they don't make this throw, it's GG's.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why'd you laugh? Because I was like trying to figure out, I'm like, why did he laugh? Like, did Tyreek do something that was funny? He like chuckles a little bit. He looks at me. He like turns to me. He's like, Zach, watch this. I'm like, what? He's like, Tyreek is out. Look at Tua. We look at Tua. He looks like he's throwing up gang signs in his brain. It's just turning. Like, you could just see that he was struggling. He's like, he's gonna throw a pick. And dude, he releases this ball, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, I knew, like, right when he released the ball, I'm like, okay, whoever he threw to, I don't remember who he threw to. I think it was a tight end, maybe. I don't know. I don't even remember who it was too. But they were double teamed, and he threw it to the boundary where he was probably 7 yards from. And I'm like, right when he released it, I'm like, oh my God. And they did it. I turned to Ant. I'm just like, just tap him up like you called that. You called that. And then we just like dap each other up and like held each other's hand like this for like the whole replay until they called the interception that went wild. I was like, holy moly, Ant, you called that.
That's crazy.
It was crazy.
It was just funny.
But,
it was easy to read where each team was at mentally, right? And I was like, Bills got this. Bills got this.
Right.
They came back from they were a 6-6 team. A few weeks later, here they are. Like,
right.
AFC.
I have a hot take.
I
have a hot take.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
As we know, Kyle Shanahan has a lot of head coaches that were under him as assistant coaches now. I think Mike McDaniel might be a clone of Kyle Shanahan. Like a clone. An offensive masterpiece, an offensive mastermind. He puts up masterpieces all the time. But when it comes down to it and winning big games, he doesn't do it. He doesn't do it. Mm-hmm. And Kyle Shanahan, year in and year out, loses that big game. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, dude, like, who are these teams that lose like a lot of them? Like these lots of close games, you know? I'm thinking, I'm like, Mike McCarthy, he's won a couple big ones. And I start going down the list. And I literally just looked at it and I thought about it. I'm like, holy, like, Mike McDaniel is damn near the same coach as Kyle Shanahan. Mastermind, puts up masterpieces against like really bad teams. And Kyle Shanahan's probably a better coach where he can do that against good teams. And I've seen Mike McDaniel do it as well. I think Mike McDaniel is a good coach. But when it matters against 500 teams and it's clutch time, it's either maybe the system again, like they want to run. The system is run the ball, pass the ball second. And they both have quarterbacks in the past. We've had Jimmy G, who has been kind of like Tua. He can put up great stats, but when it matters, he just gets like Diego said, a tight little bun. Like it just tightens a little bit, you know? And again, I think Kyle Shanahan and Mike, they tighten a little bit too, and they give those bad play calls. Like, why are you running a 12-yard out against a cover 3 that has a linebacker that's going into zone in the out? Like, you know they're running their coverage to the sticks. Like, if anything, you should have done something that was going to exploit the coverage in the middle. And so I sit there, I'm like, I'm watching this. I've seen Kyle do it too. Like, even in the Super Bowl, I watched some of these plays. I'm like, why are we running the ball on 3rd and 5? 3rd and 5, we're up 10 against the Chiefs. We could put the game away with just one pass. Jimmy G can make a pass to George Kittle and let him break it. So, I don't know. I just thought about that because I was like, man, why does Mike McDaniel remind me of someone a lot? And as a Niner fan, we've gone through this. Then the other thing I wanted to say was shout out to DeMeco Ryans, man.
That was my next segment.
Yeah.
Dude, first
did you
year
see
as a
that
head
clip
coach with the Texans, man? It's awesome. It's awesome.
Did you see the
and
DeMeco Ryans clip, man?
He was under Kyle Shanahan too, so it's crazy. Like Kyle can't win this big game, but he can produce like so much offensive talent and coaching talent, and you can see that through Mike McDaniel and all these guys too. It's just weird. The NFL is crazy with that, and yes, I did see that video. Honestly, DeMeco Ryans is a sick coach. I would love playing under him. Love playing under him.
Man, you watch some of those pregame, postgame locker room moments, and I mean, look, let's be honest. Not only did they hit on what I am already ready to deem a future MVP caliber quarterback who's already
the best
well on his
Ohio
way.
State quarterback of all time? Question mark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who's well on his way to winning a Rookie of the Year this year.
Yeah.
DeMeco Ryans is he's the perfect coach. Like
he literally
is
has a combination of everything.
He's literally an X's and O's guys mixed with the perfect form of culture.
Right.
And he fits like the Houston lifestyle.
Right.
And also, I think I truly think that Houston for a lot of time, like a lot of years, was just missing one piece, and that was a quarterback and that was a coach, or two pieces. And I mean, because we saw when they had Deshaun, when they had Deshaun Watson,
that's fair.
They weren't that bad of a team. Like they were right on the cusp of
pre-massage Deshaun.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he was getting them all the time. Look, man, DeMeco's a dog.
He's like that, dude.
He is the perfect.
He reminds
coach.
me of a mixture of Kyle Shanahan, like Dan Campbell, and Antonio Pierce. Like he's like that. He just has that combo that you really want as a player to play under. Like there's a couple guys, man. Like I said, Antonio Pierce, Dan Campbell, him. Those are three guys I'd run through a brick wall for.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, DeMeco's a dog. Go ahead.
It's funny because all three of those coaches have played.
Yeah.
So in a lot of like these tough cities, I feel like Oakland, Detroit, Houston, where culture is a big thing, not even just with the NFL, but a big thing in general in those cities. It seems like the player coaches who have gone through that culture know how to coach that city specifically. So again, it's just weird like how these different coaches can coach. Like San Francisco, Miami, those are kind of like, I mean, I wouldn't say they're not ghetto, but they're not culturally similar to Detroit or Houston or like some of these big time cities where it's like it's tough there. San Francisco, Miami, like the type of coach that you have kind of like represents your city. And I think that's something that's kind of cool to see too. Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan, offensive head coach is kind of laid back. They fit their vibe really well. Then you have Antonio Pierce who walks out of the Oakland Stadium with black Air Forces on. Like
that was so tough,
bro. That was so hard. Like,
and that's the thing.
It's
that's
just crazy.
He's literally like the perfect. He's a culture.
It fits. And that's what we were trying to like kind of talk about earlier. Like, there's a lot of fits in the NFL, and Mike Vrabel, Pete Carroll. I think Pete Carroll would be a great coach or a defensive coach. I think he could be a good defensive. Why not? Why not?
I don't. Because here's my issue. I
think he could be a good defensive coordinator with a good head coach. And I think Mike Vrabel could be a good head coach with a decent offensive coordinator.
I don't think Pete Carroll's ever going to head coach again because he's staying with Seattle.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
He's our advisor.
I just think there's a lot of good fits for Mike Vrabel even if Mike Tomlin gets fired, which I don't think he will because he fits Pittsburgh so well. I think there's a fit for him. I think there's a fit for Harbaugh.
Do you want to hear a hot take?
As weird as I think it is that Harbaugh continues to teeter-totter between college and NFL, I think there's a fit for him. I think there's a fit for Pete Carroll. It's just weird. The NFL is weird with fits. Like, it just works well with different coaches. But, yeah, what's your hot take?
Assuming because – okay, and you guys are going to look at me – actually, you guys might not look at me crazy, but I am of sound mind and body that Nick Sirianni, if the Eagles get bounced in the first round, which they more than likely do, Nick Sirianni will not make it through half of the next season. I believe he'll stay on. I absolutely believe he'll get fired next year if they are not up to Super Bowl caliber.
And I think another coach that's like that is Sean McDermott. I think he should be in that position as well.
Yes,
I think so as well. Fits are crazy in the NFL. And I don't like John Harbaugh in general, bro. He couldn't win it for
John or Jim.
Neither is Kyle.
John or Jim.
I don't like Jim. I don't like either.
Well, that's because John beat you.
Jim specifically because he didn't win one for us.
He didn't
with the
beat
Niners.
His brother.
And then John because he beat us. But Jim's a good coach. I don't know. John's a really good coach too. I just can't stand them both. I don't know. There's something about it.
Yeah.
But there's definitely fits. I think it'll be crazy. to see at least this offseason what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I got to ask you, man. And this we'll keep this quick because it hasn't happened yet. What do you think happens with Bill Belichick in the next few weeks? Because I'm surprised they haven't fired him already.
I know I mentioned it earlier. Yeah, if I'm going to be completely honest, I don't know what's happening with that. I don't, because it was talked about once week 18 is done, he's gone. It's Wednesday right now for us, Thursday for you guys.
We hit playoffs in a few days.
And games ended on Sunday. We've already had
It'll be a Friday
we've already had maybe 5 to 6 head coaches gone. And Belichick's name has not been mentioned. It's interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. I will say my mind has changed as, I've just accepted the fact that we suck right now. So I've had some time just to get some clarity with that. I honestly would be very sad to see him go. I really would be. And the reason for it is because he has brought a lot to our team. He has. And I think that's the only thing right there. He's brought so much to us, literally brought us so many rings. We beat you guys.
A dynasty.
Yeah.
The best franchise of all time.
Yeah.
You did beat us. You did beat us.
Yeah. Sorry, Keaton. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Your head coach leaving would be much more bittersweet than Pete Carroll leaving.
It would be.
Sure. Pete. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I honestly think I'd be a little bit bummed out if he did leave. I honestly would be. It would actually be a little bit heartbreaking to see him go. I honestly love Belichick. I do. I think he's hilarious. I love his attitude. He can be rude to a lot of people, but I think honestly it's hilarious. But I don't know. And then if he does go, I don't know what will happen. And I did actually hear something recently. If he does stay, guess who's coming back?
No.
Guess who's back?
Ooh.
Back again. No. Worse. We don't like it. Josh McDaniel.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Josh McDaniel.
That's a horrible fit.
If Belichick
that's a bad fit.
If Belichick stays, McDaniel is coming back. He is.
McDaniel should not be a coach in the NFL. I'm sorry. He's odd. He's bad. He doesn't fit well with the culture of any team. He's almost and I don't mean this to be actually, I should not say this. Never mind. He just doesn't fit well. I'll just go with that.
Where does
he be viewer
What does he even do?
He's just okay. We can clip it, but he's just too white. He just doesn't have any dogdom. Clip
Pete
it.
Carroll's
35
20.
35
Pete Carroll's pretty white.
35.
Yeah, but he chews the gum. He understands. I can't say it more because I'm gonna have to clip it, but he understands different people.
Yes.
Anthony, he understands.
Pete Carroll, Anthony, what's that word he understands?
Speechless.
Hey.
Clip.
Anyways,
35,
35, 55.
50. 35, 55.
Okay, we're fine. Listen, so that's a lot about the coaching news. Obviously, that's a lot of the coaching news for the week. There isn't much more going on. What I do want to do is talk a little bit about the teams that Jaguars choked, Seahawks, and maybe the teams that just snuck in and surprised us. And man, we're excited.
Why don't we pull up the playoff picture?
Power rankings? Yeah.
Sure.
I would say just a playoff picture. So let's just start with the AFC. All right.
Okay.
We'll start with just from top to bottom from what the screen shows here. So for the first game, we have the Steelers and the Bills. Now, the Steelers just snuck in there, and I don't know how, but they did.
Let me tell y'all this. TJ Watt is not playing, and I think that makes all of the difference. all of the difference. I don't see a world in which the Steelers win, let alone lose by less than 10.
Okay, but it would be so funny if the
It would be.
Steelers somehow won.
Yeah. Oh my God, it would piss me off though, dude. That team needs some help though too. Oh, Keaton, this is the question I was going to ask you. Do you think, and we'll make this quick, do you think the Seattle Seahawks will draft a quarterback?
Yes, if Michael Penix is on the board. No, if not.
Okay.
I actually saw a mock draft. I saw a mock draft today, and I thought it was an interesting one. It said we'd get Kool-Aid McKinstry.
He's a dog.
And I was like, oh my God, another first-round cornerback would be filthy.
Build the Legion of Boom again?
Oh,
that'd be crazy.
Well,
I got the Bills.
Legion of Boom talent. Yeah, I do too.
I have the Bills as well. So then next we have the Dolphins and we have the Chiefs, who in this case, since we all said the Bills would be beating the Steelers, one of these two teams, the Dolphins or the Chiefs, would be playing the Bills in the divisional.
I hope, you know what, this game
How so?
would be the perfect game. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Zach.
How so?
It depends on the lowest seed. The Ravens will play the lowest seed remaining. So right now we have the Bills going on to the next round. They're the 2 seeds, so they would play the second lowest remaining. So if we think Miami wins this game because we knocked off the Steelers, they would go into the Ravens and play them the second round. But it just depends on our predictions here.
I have the Chiefs.
I think the Chiefs are going to win handily too.
Because
Chiefs, they have the experience. Like we said, Tua kind of bum.
Exactly. I think the Chiefs are going to take that. I think playoff Mahomes is going to come out and he's going to show everyone that he is good and he's not a bum. And it's going to be typical playoff Mahomes.
Did you call my name or did my computer glitch?
Your computer glitched.
Oh, I thought you said Zach, like in the middle of my conversation. Oh, my bad. Crazy. But yeah, I think Tua's butthole will go. And
schizophrenia in 2024 is pretty sick, right, Zach?
Well, my computer's been glitching a lot, or I guess I should say my internet has been.
Yeah. Well, look, have you guys ever seen The Dark Knight Rises?
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
This, to me, is the perfect game where Bane just blows up the stadium at the start of the kickoff, and just the game ends. No team wins. Just gets rid of it.
An insane intrusive thought.
Wow. It is. This would be the perfect game.
How did you even think of that? Like, that's the definition of intrusive.
This is the one game I don't care. Like, I could care less about these two teams.
Yeah,
because they're both ass. It's gonna be Tua's interceptions versus Kadarius Toney's interceptions. That's the game.
That's fair.
They're gonna have
Tyreek might drop 200 on that. Actually, no, never mind.
Jerick McKinnon's gonna come out, and you're just gonna hear a rumble, and all of a sudden the whole stadium collapses. And the NFL's
that would be so fucking foul.
The NFL's like, well, that's it, dude.
That was a part of the script.
So
that was part of it.
My prediction is the stadium gets blown at the start of the game. No team wins.
All right.
No, but in all honesty, I think the Dolphins actually.
Okay.
Wow.
So
I'm a wild boy.
So then next we have Browns and Texans.
This is by far my favorite game of this AFC.
I have a feeling I know what Keaton's going to pick. I have a feeling. I'm taking Browns. Joe Flacco. I'm taking Joe Flacco with this. Gonna have to do it. I have to do it to CJ Stroud and them. I'm sorry.
Two elite quarterbacks.
Dude, this is by far the game that I'm most intrigued in for the AFC side of the wildcard weekend, and I think the best game that the AFC has to offer this weekend.
This is a banger game.
My gut is telling me the Browns.
Who's it? It's Houston.
And I think it's like pretty clear why it's the Browns, but I think Houston is so entertaining that they could make a game out of this and even win. And they're at home.
Nico Collins could go for 200 yards.
Yeah, he could, bro. No, not against that defense. The Browns have been so sturdy this whole year. I think the Browns win. They have a great defense. They have a good head coach. They have a good quarterback that's done it before. They have the recipe to make it at least to the second round.
Yeah.
If not farther. Although, if the Browns do win, in at least Ant and I's case, they would be playing the Ravens.
Can we just shout out teams that have never made teams that have not made the playoffs in forever finally making it?
Yeah,
we have
cool.
we have 4. We have Houston hasn't been here in a long time. Cincinnati, Cleveland has definitely not been here for a long time. Detroit,
the Lions.
Tampa Bay,
Tampa Bay won it recently though.
They won
you're right.
2 years ago.
Okay.
The NFC is kind of filled with teams that typically make it besides the Lions, but the AFC,
true.
They have some interesting teams.
New teams. I also think the Browns win, and I only think that because I'm really just hopeful that Joe Flacco just drops his nutsack on that field and is like, "Hey, I'm 40 years old. I can still sling the rock."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
No, I can see that. Well, what does that say? Oh, it says
so. Next, this is for Zach and I. Zach,
so
the Bills and the Chiefs. Now, I'm honestly going to go with the upset here, and I will take the Bills.
Wait, are we going full playoff prediction right now?
Yeah, we might as well.
No,
that's what
Okay.
So then for Ant and I, like Ant said, it's going to be Bills and Chiefs, and then Keaton, you're going to have Miami
Bills.
And the Ravens.
I would rock.
Yes,
no,
Miami.
And you said the Bills and who else did you have winning?
You said the Bills, Dolphins, and Browns.
Yeah, so you'd have Bills versus Browns, Dolphins versus Ravens.
Jesus, this is so confusing. Okay.
You'd have Bill. Okay, so
because I'm looking at this, and the way this looks is that
it's not like that. Okay. The number one seed plays the lowest seed. Yeah,
I know that's what's irking me. That's
so Keaton.
I wish I made
you'd have the Ravens versus the Dolphins.
Okay. I'm taking the Ravens. I'm taking the Ravens through the whole thing.
Okay, Ravens versus Dolphins, and then you'll have who did you say? Did you say the Bills? You said the Bills.
Bills versus Browns,
and then Bills versus Browns.
Which I also take the Browns in that.
So you think it's going to be Browns versus
Ravens.
Let's
just do Keaton's real quick.
AFC Championship.
I think it's Browns versus Ravens AFC Championship. I think Ravens beat the Browns. I think Ravens win the Super Bowl.
Okay, so we got your AFC, and you and I had the same. So we'll have the Ravens versus the Browns, and then the Bills versus the Chiefs.
Bills, I'm taking over the Chiefs. I'm gonna take that
matchup.
I'm gonna take that upset there, and then I'm taking Ravens over the Browns. And then in my AFC Championship, I have Bills versus Ravens. Ravens win that, and I think Ravens win the Super Bowl.
Okay, this is really tough for me because I think the Browns are the second best team in the AFC. So I think this is a similar situation to what we're going to talk about in the NFC, at least with my predictions as well. But I think the Ravens will have their hardest game in their first playoff game against the Browns. That being said, I think the Ravens are the best team in the NFL, so I think they win. But it sucks that we don't get to see that in the AFC Championship. And then Bills versus Chiefs, that'll be in Buffalo. Oh, man. My gut is telling me the Chiefs because they've been there, and I know what Patrick Mahomes can do it. But I want to watch the first game to make a final prediction. But for now, I think I'll go the Chiefs. So Chiefs versus Ravens, I think Ravens win against the Chiefs. And then I think you said that you have the Ravens going to the Super Bowl as well, Ant, right?
I do.
Okay. So moving on to the NFC. Ant, continue.
So top to bottom again.
Mm-hmm.
Packers and Dallas, and they are in Dallas, I believe.
They are. Give me Dallas.
I just don't see a world in which Green Bay wins.
I don't either. I would prefer seeing Green Bay win it, but
unless
do see
Dak
a world
has
where
an
Dallas
all-time
loses,
bad performance. I think Dak could throw
Right.
for 2 interceptions and they could win.
Well,
Like
yeah,
I just think Dallas is better than
I
Green
don't
Bay in
I
every
don't want
aspect.
Dallas to win. I don't want them to win.
Right.
I'd rather have Green Bay win it. But if I'm going to talk realistically who I actually think will win, it's going to be Dallas.
Right.
And I think we can all agree on that. I think we're all on
Yep.
the same page exactly with what I said.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Next game, we have the Rams in Detroit.
This is my favorite game of the weekend.
This is the
in
Matthew
general.
Stafford, coming back.
It's his first game back in Detroit since he left for the Rams. Obviously, he's been a part of an insane run with the Rams, and they're having an insane run right now.
And vice versa with Jared Goff.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Goff's had a rough last few weeks. Turnovers.
No, but it's Jared Goff's first team. Like he's going up against his first team.
Yeah, that's
true.
Right. So it's like it's a duel against the quarterbacks. Right.
And real quick, let me just backtrack for a sec. Can I also mention that the Dolphins and Chiefs game, Tyreek Hill is going to Kansas City for that?
That's why I was going to say I think he could have like 200, but I don't know. The Chiefs defensive backs have played really well. Snead's a dog. He's played really, really well this year. But I don't know. It will be really interesting. But anyways, that would be their saving grace if they were to beat Kansas City.
Right. But anyway, so Keaton, you were saying Lions, you haven't been thrilled with them the past few weeks. I don't think any of us have.
I haven't. This is a game that I'm so up in the air about. Because on one hand, no team, I truly believe no team wants to play the Rams right now.
No.
They are literally a puzzle right now. Yep. They're a puzzle piece, and every piece just fits in perfectly as well as the other. However, the storyline of Detroit, their first title in 30 years. Dan Campbell, people wanted him fired. Last season, I was like, man, is this the guy? They're playing at home against Matt Stafford, who is their franchise best quarterback. I feel like Detroit is just going to be too much because of the emotional impact. I think the Rams have them on like a schematic
talent experience system.
I don't know about the talent, but I think it's schematically. I think Sean McVay understands schematically and like culture-wise, or not culture, but experience-wise, I think Sean McVay outweighs Dan Campbell a million to one. But I believe Dan Campbell, the rally guy, can get his team locked in, and it's Jared Goff versus the world in this game.
Yeah,
if he plays well enough, they will win. But man, that Rams team, I could see this going either way. I wouldn't be surprised with either outcome. I think Detroit wins though. So
I think this is a similar case to the Browns versus Texans. You have a team that is young, hot, has a lot of talent, but the other team that they're facing, big pause. Big pause. I didn't even realize
that team is so hot. Oh my God.
But the experience that the Rams have against any of these teams in the NFC, really, besides maybe the Niners, and I guess you could make an argument for the Eagles too, because they made it last year too. But that's scary in the NFC. It really is scary. And I think it's even scarier for a young team like the Lions, who, again, they're going to be emotional. And I think they could rally. And if they were rally around Dan, it wouldn't surprise me at all. But I think it's going to be too much. The Rams have been really, again, I was going to say something that I was going to have to say pause to, but the Rams have been the hottest team in football, minus the pause. Yeah. But they've been really, really good. And I don't think that they're going to lose to an inexperienced Lions team. So I'm going to go with the Rams.
I don't need to say anything. Give me the Rams. You guys summed it up already.
I will say, I do. Damn it, do I hate that team? But man, every year they just find a way.
They're a frustrating team.
Isn't it amazing that Sean McVay? I know. You're telling me, dude.
That, bro. Yeah,
Isn't it wild that Sean McVay almost retired? Too?
It is, dude. Him and Aaron Donald, like almost at the same time. Like that is.
And Aaron Donald's still really
crazy.
good.
Yeah.
And then this game
Anyway,
is beyond me. It's a snooze fest. I hate this game, to be honest. I hate both these teams. Can't stand them.
So this
I
game is
don't even
interesting.
want to watch this game.
Give me Tampa Bay.
So let me explain this a little bit, and then we can pick the picks. Because honestly, what I'm about to say is all that needs to be said. Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay. You got Baker Mayfield. Yuck. The Eagles. Now, week 18, I don't know if they're going to play or not. Jalen Hurts was hurt. A.J. Brown was hurt.
He still played.
Devontae Smith was hurt. Is everyone still playing? Is everyone still going to be healthy? Now,
I'll tell you right now.
If at least one of those three, in my opinion, is injured, I may go with the upset. But I think if all of them are healthy, I think the Eagles will take it barely because they're looking like a bunch of bums right now. In either way, this is embarrassing for me to say too, because I went back on episode 1. I said the Eagles were going to win it all originally.
Hey, well, I also said the Bengals were too. So
yeah, we had some crazy predictions. I'm not gonna lie.
But
I think I actually had the Niners versus Cincy, so don't feel bad about that yet.
It's just been weird, right? I mean, I thought I was going to be right for a lot of the season. I was like, oh my God, Eagles are popping off. They're looking dangerous. 6 games later, womp womp. It's a tough game because you have Eagles who have just not been playing great, and then you have the Bucs who've been they snuck in. I personally think they just snuck in, and that's just kind of hard. I would like to see the upset. I want to see the Bucs beat the Eagles, but I don't know. It's still the Eagles. Like, you can't just discredit that. And I know we've been doing that these past few weeks, and they've been losing, but it's playoffs and it's different. And I'm not too sure.
When they lost to the Cardinals, I mean, that's all. That's all I had to say.
That's what I mean, though. Like
and then they lost the Drew Lock. Like they are the most parity team in the NFL right now, and they have.
After last week, I was like, okay, like,
they are literally. You know what they are? You know what they are? They are on like a roller coaster, and there's like that. There's no way that roller coaster ever. Like, they've basically gotten a sled. And they're just dive bombing like Mount Everest.
Right.
They can't slow down. And I don't see a world where they beat Tampa.
I think if both teams are healthy, the Eagles win.
I agree.
I think the Bucs are a team that, in a horrible division, went 9-8 and barely squeaked into the playoffs because they've played in such a bad division. I think the Eagles have played bad, but again, I guess experience is kind of, I wouldn't say it's matched here, but Tampa Bay does have a lot of veterans that were on that Super Bowl squad that I still think they at least have on the defensive side. So they have some experience too, but I think the Eagles are just too much for them. So I'm going to go with the Eagles.
Unfortunately,
so moving on,
I have to go with the Eagles too.
I think we have the same again on this side, Anthony, but Keaton has something different. So Keaton,
you had the Lions winning and the Bucs winning.
You had the Lions,
and then he had Dallas winning.
So you have Dallas and the Lions playing, and then you have the Niners and the Bucs.
Okay, I'm gonna make this quick. Give me Dallas over the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the Niners over the Bucs.
Mm-hmm.
We get to Dallas playing the Niners. Give me the Niners. Then we get to our Super Bowl matchup. Give me the Falcons. Done.
Ravens.
Anthony, I'm pretty sure I know what I'm talking about. I run a podcast.
Don't we all?
Go Falcons.
Yeah, dude. Arthur Smith, baby. Arthur Smith for president. Anyway, give me the Ravens. Sorry. Give me another flightless bird.
We knew what you meant. Anthony, we have the Niners versus the Rams, and then the Eagles versus the Cowboys.
Okay.
That would be a very, very fun second weekend of playoffs.
It would be.
Two
Now,
divisional
I
round
think
playoff games.
I think I'm going to make it quick too. I'm going to
Yeah.
make it just really quick. I think that the Rams versus the Niners, by the way, both games are going to be close. I'm just going to say that at least 3 points for every single game for that second week in the divisional. At least 3. Rams and Niners, I am going to go Niners. For Dallas and Eagles, right? Yeah. I'm going to have to say the Eagles on that because I think Dallas chokes too much, especially when they get around into that divisional round. They tend to choke a lot. And I'm just looking at from the past and everything. No offense to all the Dallas fans out there, but that's just it's history. It's happened. It happens many, many times.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going to say the Eagles over Dallas. In the championship game, NFC champ, we have the Niners and the Eagles. I'm going to say the Niners on that. And then for Super Bowl, Niners and Ravens, and I am going to have to take the Ravens as well.
All right. I'll try and make it quick. Like I had mentioned earlier, though, the Browns versus Ravens reminds me a lot of my prediction, which is the Rams versus the Niners here. I think, again, experience plays a huge role. I think this will be the toughest game the Niners have in the NFC. But I think the Niners win, obviously. I think they're too talented, and the Rams don't have the defense to stop them. And then it's the Eagles versus Cowboys. And again, I think this is at least the year the Cowboys make the NFC Championship. But too bad for the Cowboys. They play the one team that they can't beat and won't beat for a while. And they play the Niners, and the Niners will win that game. Niners versus Ravens.
Yeah, you can say
Come
it.
on now, fellas.
Say it.
You're
Gonna
taking the
knock
Ravens,
on as
dude.
much wood as possible here, but
Blood's literally about to take the Falcons, calling himself a Niners
give
fan.
me the Niners.
Okay.
But yeah, that's our prediction. I think that's pretty solid, fellas. For the most part, we all agreed there's a couple shakeups, but I think, again, looking at this playoff bracket, there's two teams that should dominate. And again, I'll knock on wood because I'm a Niner fan and they typically kill me and my mental health is just shot in February. But the two teams that are dominant and should be dominant are the Ravens versus Niners. So it makes sense that we all have the same predictions.
Yeah. Well, sweet. That's it. This video will probably go up on Friday. Like I said, I got to edit off my
that wraps
laptop,
it up.
so it'll take a little bit.
Next week, though,
but
hopefully, if we get the video, we have a video of our losers from the last 2 the last 2 years of fantasy doing a wing challenge that you guys will see from last week. So that will be a very fun
we
video
will
to
have
watch.
it next week.
And then fantasy obviously is going to diminish. So with that being said, we're going to implement some other types of videos. So be on the lookout for that as well.
So we can officially do our all blacks versus all whites team. So
we will be doing that.
We will be doing that.
But other than that, thank you for watching / listening. Catch us next week. Please like and subscribe. Later.